Be seated, please. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Is it a mixed gathering or Sierra Leone or
Sierra Leone and Ghana. Three from
Ghana.
Sierra Leone and one from Ghana.
One from Ghana, right. Most welcome. How are you? All of you? Fine? MashaAllah. We are gradually discovering many African Ahmadis who were not in touch previously with the Jamaat as such, who came years ago and remained lost. And now when the Khudam they made an effort to contact those who have not been coming to the Ijtima, in that campaign with the grace of Allah, many an African youth were discovered, and with the grace of Allah again they have responded and promised to remain in touch. So what can you do about it? Can't you, through your own resources, scan the whole horizon of Africans wherever they are concentrated in Africa, in England, and find out which of those are Ahmadis and so on and so forth. This could also be done perhaps with reference to your own respective countries by spreading the word there, that whichever family has a member residing in foreign countries, they should let the Amir know, and through the Amir us. Remind the private secretary to send a notice to these things, right? Because there's a large group of Africans. Naturally, Africa must be represented here in proportion to their religious denominations as well. When a very large number of Africans have become Ahmadis for a long time, it's unbelievable that they never go out to the Western countries for economic or other reasons. So they must be here somewhere.
I have seen two in Reading who said they have done, the mission has done a lot for them before coming here.
Yes.
But since they have been here, they have never come in contact with the mission. So two of them have met.
So it's very important that we should regain touch with them and retrieve the lost lions of Israel, not Islam. Not the lost sheep of Israel, but the lost lions of Islam. Okay? I hope they prove out to be lions, not a sheep. Huh? Okay.
Mr. Bakari, please ask.
Azu, my question is about the role of the family and the way divorce rate is just increasing in the Western countries. Some sociologists are of the view that the role of the family is no longer effective, that they are no longer training their children to come out and with in dignified positions, that the behavior of children are no longer good, and that even divorce rate is so high now in Western countries, and broken homes are also just increasing. Hazu, what is the position of Islam on this, or what advice can you give on this? Because there are Ahmadis in Western countries also who have families. My fear is that if there is no good advice from you, on your own, from you, they might as well go astray, and that will be very dangerous.
Already I have told you that the safety of all Ahmadi lies in their association and constant deep contact with the Jamaat. If you're lost to the Jamaat, you're lost to the world, in fact. Lost to God and religion, everything. So this is the answer again to your question. In fact, those families who remain in touch with the center here, with the Jamaat and elsewhere also in Germany, etc., they have no fears with the grace of Allah. Western influences which are poisonous are not only directed at people from foreign countries residing in Europe. They are poisonous to the people of Germany, to the people of England, to the people of Ireland, etc., themselves as well. And this is what is worrying them now. The thinkers, the leaders among them who are seriously disturbed by the growth in crime rate and disturbance of peace, they have ultimately to admit, and they do occasionally, that the family breakdown is responsible for this, and parents have no hold on their children. So the government is trying to take measures to act the mothers and parents of the youth. It's impossible. The youth which do not respond to their blood relations, parents who brought them up, if they look back with defiance at them and don't care about for their whatever advice they render, what care would they have for the government agencies and social agencies and TV propaganda? I doubt very much if it's going to produce any effect whatsoever. The answer lies, number one, in the rehabilitation of family systems. Whatever religion be, it's not just Islam, it's not a case of Christianity, Islam, etc. It is a case of family units which go according to the best noble traditions which they have inherited from the past. So if they work together hand in hand without raising the differences of ideologies and beliefs, I think it's a joint responsibility of all the inhabitants of a country to work for this noble cause of holding children back to the noble traditions of their forefathers, and for that you have to take some very wise and well conceived, well thought out measures. It just wouldn't do for you to tell everybody, all right, let's build the families again. How? The families which are disjointed, where the cement which binds them together is eroded. What can you do about it? You must find out what were the binding factors. What has gone wrong with that? So unless you take care of the parents, you can't take care of the children, because maybe the fault lies there at that level. They have become selfish, they have become involved in their own sensual pursuits, etc., etc., and they have not been paying proper care to the younger generation, either because they do not have much time to spare for them, or because the foreign influence of the streets and around schools, etc., are pulling them apart from them. Both are the possibilities. So public attention should also be paid, and family attention should also be paid by raising the consciousness and awareness of what is lacking in the family relationship. Why? Once you know the answers to these questions, once you know the whys, why it is happening here and why it is happening there, only then you can get the answers, not otherwise. So I'm not going to lecture you in detail as to what I think are the reasons, but I can tell you the approach. The right approach should be this. It should not be on religious divides from Christianity, from Islam separately. It should be on the common human basis first. Humanitarian attitude should be adopted so that you cooperate with each other. If you create religious differences at this stage, then the Muslims will take their own responsibility, the Christians their own, and as such there is a danger of dogmatism playing a role in splitting the society apart. And then they would say, these are the Muslim values, we don't care for that. They are Christian values, Muslims say, we don't care for that, and so on. You can't cover your head with a sheet or anything. All these questions have been raised in Europe. So instead of making a campaign on religious ideologies, let's turn to the commonality of all religions, the common morality of all religions, and campaign jointly for that. That plus the analysis of the family situations and why the parents have become insensible to the responsibilities they owe to their children. These factors put together, I think, can help us rebuild the society on the correct lines, right?
Okay.
Please.
Assalamu alaikum, Hazur.
Assalamualaikum.
When I read some Christian books, it appears to me that the word paradise and heaven refer to the same thing.
Yes.
But when I refer to the Holy Quran, the question became very complex for me. First of all, the word al-jannat has been used, and the plural form samawat has been used, and also samai also has been used, the singular form, that is heaven. So I got a bit confused there also. I mean, I said perhaps you may throw light on it.
You see, the word heaven and paradise are two different words. When you say paradise, you never misunderstand this word to apply to the universe as a whole, or heavens as meaning the skies. But when the word heaven is used, because it has both the meanings, it creates the confusion. Sometimes in English, when you say heavens, you refer to the space in general. You know, cosmological existence in things. But also it refers to the Jannah, as we understand by the word Arabic. Heaven means paradise. So because you have been reading the Holy Quran in English, I think that is the main problem.
Yes.
The heavens and heavens and heavens and heavens are used referring sometimes to this and sometimes to that. So you better pinpoint the places which have created some confusion in your mind, and have an appointment with the Imam Sahib, and he will let you know exactly what this heaven stands for here and what this heaven stands for there. Right?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
Hazur, the concept of marriage between Ahmadi and non-Ahmadi is controversial in many societies, for the simple fact that, whenever a non-Ahmadi establishes a relationship with an Ahmadi, there's a likelihood that the Ahmadi will go astray. But wherein there is a possibility of converting the non-Ahmadi partner to Ahmadiyya, should there be a compromise?
Compromise on what? Compromise on what?
On that sort of marriage.
Which marriage?
No, well, actually, I'm with the understanding that an Ahmadi boy,
Yes.
is allowed to marry an Ahmadi girl,
Right.
non-Ahmadi girl.
Yes.
But the Ahmadi girl is not allowed to marry a non-Ahmadi boy.
Boy, correct.
For the simple fact that, it is easier to, women have sort of weaker willpower.
That's right, yes.
Right. But wherein there's a possibility for the woman to convert the man, should that be a compromise? To convert the man into...
You see, that is a compromise in religion, which is not permissible. Because to make marriage instrumental to converting others to the religion of one party is in principle objectionable. You see? It's not the right way of spreading a faith at all. Because if you have the if you convert somebody for the sake of the wife, then his religion will only carry meaning in the family relationship no more, not to God anyway. It will have no meaning to God. That is why the Holy Prophet ﷺ has mentioned that innamal a'malu binniyate. The actions will always be judged by the intentions. And the intentions make actions. In the explanation of this hadith, Hazrat sallallahu alaihi wasallam has made it manifestly clear that many a time the intention influences the actions, and in a manner that the actions may appear to be differently directed, but they ultimately reach their goal and end there. He explains, if one marries a wife for a person for his beauty, for her beauty, a husband or a man marries a girl for her beauty and has her, then the purpose is ended. He's got her. But it will have nothing to do with God. If you pay anything for the sake of gaining good reputation, earning good reputation in the society, that he is a very great philanthropist, he serves the cause of the poor, so the object is met. You have got the fruit. No more. What do you expect from God then? So the intentions determine the nature of the actions and they end with the actions once the purpose is achieved. But the actions of the Muslims must be determined by their intentions, which should always be directed to God. If the intentions are related to God, then they can't create limited actions which will end with the death. Already I have proved with reference to this hadith that the intentions give either a short life to the actions. The actions would correspond to the intention in the manner that you achieve the worldly purpose and both the intention and the action have come to an end, finished. If the intentions go beyond the limitations of one's life here on earth, they are related to God, and whatever actions follow those intentions, they also gain a sort of eternity. Then it is for Allah to reward them and to take account of them in the future after death. So these are such fundamental issues you are raising. There can't be any compromise on any worldly motives, because then it will be just cheating yourself and cheating God. Some people do, but there we have our own limitations as well. We have to accept the cheating. If somebody says, I have become an Ahmadi Muslim, now we can't peep into the intentions. Although apparently he seems to be wrong, he is doing it for the sake of the wife, the girl, yet we will not penalize the family because we have to accept the intention on its face value. That purpose will be served, of course, but it's not of any avail to the person, nor to the girl who escapes the sanctions from the Jamaat because the so-called would-be husband has accepted Ahmadiyyat. God knows best and he can't be cheated. That again is a safeguard against anybody trying to cheat others because his intentions are not readable. Right? You should understand the whole issue in this larger, bigger perspective. Correct?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Please.
My question is, I've been arguing with Christians about...
And you're from Ghana, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm
yes,
from
yes,
Ghana.
Yes, yes,
Ah, that's very true.
yes, please.
My father was a preaching master in Kumasi, Ashanti, but he's now dead. Dawood. He's dead now.
He's dead now.
Yeah, he
How
died
long
last
has he been
year.
dead? How long has he been dead?
Later he lost memory and there was a loss.
I said, how long has he been dead?
Oh, it's about 8 months now.
Acha, recently.
Yeah, last year.
Must have died in a ripe old age.
Yeah, at the age of about 70 plus.
Just that.
Yeah.
How old would you be? How old are you?
I am
If you
now.
don't mind. I asked you because I know you're not a woman.
Yeah,
It's only
age
women
is-
who
my
hesitate
age
to...
is about,
Huh?
it's 59.
59. I see. So you were not born when he was 11 years old, were you? If he's 70,
70 something, 70 plus to 80.
he must be close to 80 or so.
Yeah, that's what I say.
Right?
Yeah. And my question
No, but
is...
because he died only 8 months ago, didn't he?
Yeah, 8 months ago. I was not born a Muslim, and he also was not born as a Muslim.
Is that right?
Yeah, he converted himself.
MashaAllah.
And I too, it took me about 4 years to convert myself.
How old were you when he converted to Islam?
I became Islam in 19...
No, he, your father, late father. When he became Muslim, how old were you?
Well, I was about... I became a Muslim in 77.
Is it right?
1977.
That late?
So it was this man who converted. I was always going to their preaching.
He converted around 4 years before your conversion.
Sorry?
He was already an Ahmadi Muslim for 4 years when you became a right?
Yeah, I became a Muslim.
So he preceded you by 4 years.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was one doctor, Kokufu, who was able to see something to come.
Are you from Ashanti people?
Yeah, I'm Ashanti. Formerly Ashantis would never be a Muslim.
Yes,
it was only the Ahmadis which allowed Ashantis to become Muslims.
Ashantis are almost entirely Christians.
Yeah.
Except in the case of Ahmadiyyat.
Yeah.
Whoever becomes a Muslim is of course an Ahmadi. Because others don't convert them, they cannot. And this is the grace of Allah have.
Because it wasn't Ahmadis.
Superior argumentation and things.
Yeah, it wasn't Ahmadis. Non-Ahmadis were not. It was Ashantis who embraced the Ahmadi. That Ahmadi was able to stay in Ghana. Otherwise, other tribe can't do it. Because non-Ahmadis were very strong in Ghana.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, it was Ashanti. So it was Kokofu doctor who told me about the death of Christ.
I see. This doctor.
Yeah, so he told me
Which doctor was that in Kokofu?
Yeah, I forget his name.
Dr. Mustafa? Sayyid Mustafa?
Mustafa.
I think it should be that. Huh?
Yeah, he was able to prove that
Mustafa,
Jesus never died on the cross. And during the time he was still breathing.
That's
and
right.
a person who is dead cannot be breathing scientifically. So I became, prior to that, I've been reading these security books, Rampa books, I read them. So it was Ahmadi which was able to convince me, and I accepted Ahmadi. Even last year during the mosque, I sent money to Wahab Adam for the construction of a Shanti mosque.
Right.
I sent money to them. The question is that there are some Christians say that 2 sons of Hazrat Ibrahim, it was Isaac who was used for sacrifice, and Muslims believe in Ishmael. So I want to know the exactly this thing.
All right. There are different contradictory claims made by Muslims and the Christians and the Jews, on the one side. Christians and Jews on the one side, Muslims on the other. But tell me, is there any center like Mecca, where the Jews and the Christians celebrate the sacrifice of the firstborn, as they believe, son Ishaq in the world?
No, it's only the Muslims.
Is there anywhere, any center in the world?
No center.
So where is the proof? How could this important event be so completely erased from the history and from their practices as to be almost non-existent? Practically, it is non-existence. Why I say almost? Because in their books, they indicate some places where they think this sacrifice took place, or attempted sacrifice took place. But no corroborating evidence is ever found anywhere. And as far as the practices go, their practices, religious practices, are completely denuded of any signs of such a sacrifice. The difference is so obvious, It's like the difference between night and day. Can you still be in any doubt about it? It's impossible. Tell your Christian friends, show me the place where you celebrate the sacrifice of Isaac.
That's right.
See?
Yeah.
And what happened, and why don't you slaughter a man or a sheep or things in memory of that sacrifice?
Of that sacrifice.
See? Why the Arabs did even before Islam? This is a question. If it were Islam alone, they might have said, you have invented it for giving support to your belief. But it was the Arabs who did it, traditionally, from the time of Ismail. There is no shadow of doubt about it. Right? Thank you.
So my next question is on abortion.
Yes?
Some Christians, like the Catholic or the Christian Scientists, all condemn abortion.
All do what?
They all condemn abortion.
That's right.
What does Islam say about abortion, and if abortion is allowed in Islam, under what conditions, as you please?
Well, abortion is condemned by all religions, in fact, in the sense that it is a sort of murder. Wherever it is not qualified as murder, it is permitted. The basic prohibiting idea is that of murder. You can't take life. So if the child threatens the life of the mother by posing some dangers to the mother who is carrying the child, then whom would you sacrifice upon whom? The issue of sacrifice is just discussed. The lesser things are sacrificed for the sake of higher things. So the sheep was sacrificed, I mean not the sheep but ram, was sacrificed for the sake of Ishmael. Right? So the lower things are sacrificed for the higher things. Mother has a prior right to live because she has established a life here on earth. And she it is who is giving birth to a life. That new life has no right to endanger the life of the mother who is instrumental in giving that fetus some life, right? So in all such cases, abortion is permissible, it is advisable, it is promoted in Islam. Correct? In such cases where there is no genuine reason, no rightful reason for anyone to abort at a stage where the child has already gained a sort of life, there it would be murder. There it's not permitted. Correct?
Okay.
Next, please.
Yes, so my question is on justice in
Yes.
human society.
Yes.
It is difficult for me to understand also why, for instance, you see the relationship between, for instance, the Western world and, say, Africa, for instance, runs on the same course ever since, perhaps. I mean, from the days of slave trade to the days of colonialism, and even now the exploitation still continues. And what I fail to understand, I have not been able to understand very well, is how justice works in a situation like this, whereas those who are apparently, because somebody might not agree with me, who are doing the wrong thing, perhaps, persecuting others or suppressing them, seem to be in the ascendance, that is becoming more and more powerful. And the victims seem to be going down and down. So how can one explain justice in this kind of situation?
I'm afraid that I have not yet fully comprehended the nature of this question decisively, clearly.
Yes.
If you mean that those colonial powers which according to you have been involved in perpetrating all sorts of atrocities and crimes against the poor, defenseless African people, and they have seemed to have run away with this.
Yes.
Where is the justice of that? Is that the question?
That is the question.
Okay. And where is the justice of those Africans who once they began to rule their countries, they mistreated their own people, they usurped the rights of their own people, no white skin was involved. It was the black hands who turned murderer when they got state power behind them. Right or wrong?
That's right. That's right.
Where is the justice there? So the justice is not a racial issue. Justice is neither on this side nor on that side. The reasons for violation of justice lie deeper in human morality. And that can only be done with reference to God and in no other way. Otherwise, the rule that the man knows here on earth is that might is right. So whoever gets the might he proves himself to be wrong. And whenever he is proved to be wrong, from religious point of view, he is unjust. But from the formula which is working in the secular world, his wrong is also right, because might is right. It is imposed, it is maintained, and he runs away with whatever he does. So we are talking of a chaotic world where the rule of God is not established. And as such, the issue of justice from moral viewpoint cannot be raised. Return to God and commit yourself to the will of God, offering your complete subservience to His will. Then the justice will begin to play its role, only then. And then the questions will be raised, why such a people who have really submitted to the will of God can also act contradictory to what they have committed. But these people are free. You are free. Africans are free. The West is free. Free to enslave others. Right or wrong?
Well, yeah.
So my next question is about the concept of God in Islam as against Christianity. In Christianity, they preach Trinity. That is, they have God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. And they also say that Jesus Christ died on the cross.
Right.
So if I'm to take it literally, that means one of the God or one part of the God died on the cross. So what is the teaching? I mean, what is the...
It seems that you have not read my book, Trinity, A Journey from Facts to Fiction. Have you?
No, I've not read that.
Yes, not yet.
You see, that means you are not propagating properly. It's the responsibility of Imam Sahib to let every member of his community here in England know that an important book, which is important in the sense that it can help you preach Islam to Christians on a logical basis, has already appeared on the scene. And you must be well armed with the arguments which are contained therein. If you had known it and if you had read the book, the question would never be raised. Then you will be telling me your own personal experiences, that my Christian friend said this and I haven't read the book. I said, look, that's the answer. You see? And put them to questions and they will find no answers. So read that book instead of my rewriting it here for you in the remaining 20 minutes. Huh? Right? Please?
Please, I don't have a question, but I'm enlightening this gentleman about it. About the Trinity, in Ghana there was a symposium organized by the Ahmadis.
Right.
And one of the eminent bishop called Bishop Sapon, he's a Catholic bishop, he was asked by Yusuf, who used to come to conference, my learned bishop, how do you understand by Trinity, you preach it? The tangible answer he gave us is that he preaches Trinity in the church, but he believed in oneness of God. That was his answer. So that enlightened me that, yeah, so that means he believed there was no Trinity.
That's right.
This was a question here, so that was that.
It has to be analyzed so clearly. Every thinking man should come to realize that Trinity is impossible. Not in the sense as they believe it to be. Trinity and unity, they can't have both. It's impossible. They must abandon one and stick to the other. Of course, that will be understandable, although it may be wrong. If they sacrifice unity and go to the tripartite nature of God, it would be wrong, but it won't have any self-contradiction in the sense that they want to hold both the oneness of God and the Trinity at one and the same time. It's impossible. Can't do it. You can't eat your cake and have it, can you? This is what they're trying to do. With things which have self-contradictions. It's it's impossible to retain both together. You have to decide between this and that. You know, it reminds me of a joke which I have very often used in such situations. But I have noticed that even those who knew it so many times, heard it from me, still they enjoy this. It's a very potent joke and sort of a sort of joke which lives on. It's a joke from Arabia. It relates to a situation exactly which we are discussing now here. It is said that Johar, a great humorist of Arabia, once told his wife that he is yearning to have meat so much, so much, that he should satiate his desire to eat meat. He should have his fill with meat so that he can say, no more meat, no, enough is enough. And he said, whenever I come home, I get a portion of meat, small or a bigger portion, but that's nothing, that doesn't satisfy me enough. So I have decided to bring 2 kilos of meat, which will be only for me. Neither you will share nor anybody else. Understood? She said, yes, understood. She went to the meat market and bought 2 kilos of the best meat he could get his hands to, and gave it to the wife to cook on the conditions as I have explained. Now, unfortunately for the poor Johar, when he returned, before his return, there were a few brothers of that sister, which was married to Johar, who paid an unexpected visit to the house. And the sisters, of course, liked to entertain their brothers, especially. And they also smelled, it's a nice smell, now nice aroma, flavor, you know, the whole air is filled with this appetizing flavor. What's happening? She said, I've bought some meat. All right, serve us. So she brought, and they consumed the entire 2 kilos, not leaving a morsel behind. So she cooked some pulses, dal or some vegetable or something for Johar. And when he returned, he inquired about that meat. She said, this is all I can offer you because your meat was consumed entirely by your favorite cat. No fault of mine. Ask your cat why she did it. It's all right, no problem. He got hold of the cat, and on the one side of the scale he put 2 kilos, on the other the cat. And it so happened that they were perfectly balanced, exactly balanced. That means that the cat was also 2 kilos. So he picked the cat in his hand and said, look here, my dear wife, if this is the cat, where is my meat? If this is the meat, where is my cat? The 2 kilos of meat and 2 kilos of cat can't be just one thing, That was the argument. So you can either have the cat or the meat. So the Christians can either have the Trinity or the unity. They can't have both together. Right? You agree, of course, don't you?
I do.
You have gone through all these debates and things, eh?
Yeah.
Now with the grace of Allah, Ghana is rising and awakening like lions.
Even I read a certain book from
Mashallah.
Jehovah Witness.
Huh?
Jehovah Witness
Yes.
pamphlet. I have about 2 of them. I'll give you one today.
Yes.
They say that, do you believe in Trinity? They don't believe in Trinity.
Yes.
This
The Jehovah's don't. Yes.
I have the
Not in the
pamphlet.
sense, of course.
I
but
wrote to them.
they
gave me 2
believe
copies.
in the divinity of Jesus Christ, all right.
Yeah, that was the answer.
There are many differences, shared differences in various religious sects in Christianity, and some are called by them themselves as cults. So in one of the books on cults, I was surprised to find the name of Jehovah's Witnesses as a cult. So they're very, very dogmatic, of course, and difficult to argue with them because they will run away from this rational attitude. They are dogmatic, they say we believe and that's that. But at least they you can't be accused of this, of having this internal contradiction, of believing in Trinity as others understand. They have their own brand of Godhead concept, but not the Trinity.
Also, when you read their book, they don't believe that Jesus was God. They say that he was a messenger.
No.
That's what
no.
they did.
This is where they try to trap you, This is not right. I have met Jehovah's Witnesses, I have discussed this with them very clearly. They believe in him to be God.
One of them told me that they don't believe him.
That is just to entrap you to back to his Christianity.
They are very tricky people.
They are very rigid Christians in the sense that they believe in the divinity of Christ as a person. They say he, as a God, he is a person. On that there is no doubt about it. But they believe in him like a manifestation of Krishna, for instance. Manifestation of God in Krishna. So I have not fully analyzed their view from the point of view as to where it should be placed in the history of religion. They don't believe exactly in the image of Christ as Krishna, I know that. But they're quite close to it. Right? Again, the difficulties are created because, as you have yourself pointed out, Jehovah's Witnesses themselves, because they are very, proselytizing, as they say. They preach to others and they're charged with the mission to preach. So they go on presenting Christianity in different ways, so that they can attract different people belonging to different societies and religious viewpoints. They try to get closer to their own viewpoints so that they don't find it difficult to cross over to them. So that also creates some confusion. For me also it was very difficult to exactly fix their points of views and their faith. But then I put my in the research team to this question, and they worked for me, and with the help of them I have now adopted a clearer view of the Jehovah's Witnesses. But if you know them, you better help me out with that more specifically. But when they tell you that this is our belief and that is not, you ask them about their authentic literature. Which is the authentic fundamental literature from which we can ascertain the exact nature of your belief? This should be the question posed to them. And when they answer, help me out with that, that answer, so that I can lay my hands to the authentic books which they commit themselves. These are authentic. And inshallah then we will be able to understand the nature of Jehovah's Witnesses better.
So my next question is on the deep-rooted banking system.
Huh?
It's on banking system. Islam forbids taking of interest. But in the Western countries like here, we are supposed to keep money in the bank, not in the homes. Everywhere you have to pay insurance or other bills, they say it should be through debit account. What's the position of Muslims with regards to the banking system?
No problem. As far as the extra money which you can save and keep in the banks is concerned, as long as you're not able to utilize it for productive purposes, it is going to lose its value anyway. Because the interest is not very permissible for you to consume personally. So practically, whatever money you save and keep in the banks, without utilizing it, as I said, by channeling it to some productive, trades or industry, etc., whatever you can, then of course you are losing your money, because the interest you gain will be paid to Islam, because you can't use it for yourself. And there's one other extra bit you may have to pay over and above the interest. That is the income tax worked out on your savings and the interest you get from the bank. They add it on to your money, your income. So personally I believe that in such cases you should pay that extra interest from the interest because it is not your own personal thing. That may not apply to you and most people who do not have a large amount of saved money in the banks. So their interest they earn varies, from small amounts to other small amounts, but it doesn't add up to much. But still, even if you get £1 per month as interest, the income tax department will add that money onto your real income, and they will charge you extra pennies as income tax on that money you get through interest, right? So my advice is that should be calculated and that should be paid from the interest itself, not from your own money. And then the remaining interest should be sent to the center of the Jamaat, wherever it is, and they should use it for the spread of Islam. Okay? Now this gives a message that no idle money should be kept by the Muslims as far as possible. They should somehow re-employ it. And when it comes to the question of re-employment, then the question of honesty and integrity is inseparably related to this issue. The small money holders cannot go for individual investments, can they?
Yeah.
It's impossible. You have a few £100 saved or a few £1,000 saved, yet they will not enable you to launch an independent trade plan or install industry out of their few thousand. It's impossible. So what would you do? You just wait for the money to lose its value continuously until you can't buy anything out of it which you could at the time when you started saving it. So it's a dead loss, in fact. Suppose you have saved £1,000 at present as of today. Let's conceive the possibility of you having £1,000 saved in bank. You can't put it to any trade for profit to your advantage, can you? But if you don't use it, then after 5 years, for instance, if it remains 10,000, the interest you don't have, it remains 1,000. Okay? Now, what would you lose through inflation? The best way to judge it is try to fix the value of £1,000 today with reference to what you can buy out of it. If you go for buying a piece of land, how many square inches can you buy from this? Or if there is more money involved, then how many square yards or canals or acres you can buy out of that? After 10 years, try to buy the same and you will not be able to. You may be able to buy only 1/10 of what you could buy today. So the best advice in that case would be to convert it into commodities which gain their values at least at the rate of the inflation or more. So for that you need an economic advice. Maybe if you refer this issue to the Amir Sahib here, he could help you by appointing some specialists on economy to advise small money holders as to what they should buy and keep it. There, they will neither be getting any interest nor they will be losing anything through inflation. After 10 years, although they will not be having any interest because it's locked in some commodity, but that interest was of no avail to you anyway. But the appreciation it will have will offset both the loss of interest as well as the loss of the commodity in value through inflation. Understand?
Yes.
So for the small money holders, that seems to be the only alternative available. But if the society was honest and the standard of integrity in trade among Ahmadis had risen to a level where we could, without any risk of misadvising people, could tell every Ahmadi, look here, go and make your cartels, joints and companies, etc., then the best way would be to gather your money together, to pool it into a larger money tank and start business with that. In that way, it could be more profitable than just buying something small and waiting for it to inflate, right? Thank you. Yes, please.
Yes, Ozu. In one of the question answer sessions in English, somebody asked about nuclear energy, nuclear fusion. I
Right.
made reference to Surah Al-Humazat.
That's right, yes.
Later on, I read the Holy Quran. I came across
He didn't ask with reference, I answered with reference to Surah Al-Humazat.
Surah Al-Humazat,
That's
yes.
right, yes.
I also read some other verses, and I came across other verses also which, has scientific significance, which were not apparent at the time when the Quran was revealed. For instance, in Surah Al-Rahman, there is a reference there addressing men. It's the whole company of jinn and men. If you can go beyond the confine of the...
That's right, yes, yes.
So do so. And he also went on to give some of the...
Exactly. Other examples, illustrations from the Quran, yes?
Yes, yes. So, that was very interesting. I was actually feeling perhaps somebody with deep knowledge of Arabic and the Holy Quran, perhaps, to make a sort of encyclopedia of this scientific fact, the Holy Quran, whether that is necessary.
The cyclopedia is not, the word cyclopedia is not applicable to this situation,
Yes.
because the Holy Quran is a fantastic book. It's impossible to cover all the points it has already raised without we don't recognize them as yet. With the passage of time, when the age unfolds the secrets of nature as it progresses, more and more verses come to attract our attention. Look here, this is what we said before. And they're coming to prominence in your view is fully supported by the internal evidence which they carry. It's not just a wishful thinking on the part of the Muslim to relate them to some scientific discoveries because we want the Quran to be accepted as a divine book, but the evidence they contain in themselves is so powerful that even for the non-Muslim it is impossible to reject it if they're honest. So that is why I refer to with Surah Humaza, Walul likulli humazatin, because the argument contained in this verse about its applicability to the atomic explosion is so powerful, it's impossible to read it in any other way but to apply it to this situation. So no encyclopedia can be written on this because there may be hundreds and thousands of verses lying dormantly in the Quran which we can't understand because the age is not advanced enough to bring to our notice the significance which was there all the time but we failed to recognize it. But books can be written and books are being written, and one of my books which have been promised in the Jamaat for a long, long time now, every time I think it is ready, some things are discovered which delay the publication. I thought we were ready for publishing it or printing it and publishing it last year, before the end of the last year, and as such it was sent to me. It was lying on my table. No, this is the complete book. Everything is checked. No mistakes left. But fortunately, it was suggested to me by some Ahmadi research scholars in our ladies' team that if you permit us, we just give it once over, just go through it. Maybe somebody missed certain important points. It's a very important book. It shouldn't be allowed to be published without all due precautions. I agreed. And then they sought appointment, and having read one chapter, they pointed out to at least a score of mistakes. Mistakes in mostly in my dictation having been misunderstood, the words misplaced, replaced by others, and losing meaning altogether. There were some passages which were, when they were read back to me, I was horrified. I said, did I say that? It's impossible. Then we discovered the secret. One single word was misunderstood by the person who was taking notes, and because we didn't employ any professional stenographers. Even the professional stenographers make many mistakes, but I'm talking of just available people from here and there, the volunteers who would come to me, occasionally give their time. I dictate to them, and they bring back the print, and because of the shortage of time, sometimes I can go through it properly, sometimes I say, okay, you have done it, you have seen it, is it all right? He says, yes, it's okay. Then I permit him to hand it over to the person who is compiling this. In this case, this particular case, I was told by the compilers, this is now ready for publication. It has been checked and rechecked. And these two ladies who went through laboriously, they horrified me by presenting the list of mistakes which they noticed. So from then on, with the grace of Allah and with their sacrifice of time, we are going through it verbatim, word for word. And then I dictate to them the corrections to be incorporated in that. And imagine, when they come back, although they criticize others well and justifiably, they themselves have sometimes misunderstood the word I said, and I have to find out the mistakes again and again. So this is the web in which we are caught. But with the grace of Allah, this last attempt is now really proving successful because I am involved throughout with the Rivian case. And when they tell me everything has been taken note of and introduced properly in the right places, I say, no, bring it back to me and reread it. When I rehear the reading they make, or when I read it myself, then I know this is exactly what I wanted to say. So as such, this book is in its final preparatory stages with the grace of Allah, and I shouldn't be surprised at all this time if you have this book in your hand before Jalsa Salana. Okay? And there you will find all these things which have been agitating your minds, compiled in that book on almost every major issue which agitates the modern human mind. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Inshallah.
Is the title of the book a secret yet? The title of the book?
The title is a four-letter title.
I see.
Revelation and rationality and revelation.
Oh.
Can it lead to knowledge and truth? Which can? That sort of thing.
Yes.
In relation, the title is in relation to knowledge and truth. So it's a very comprehensive title which covers almost all areas of human interest, academic interests. Right?
Yes.
Now the time is over? Okay. I take leave of you. Thank you for coming. It was a very good, productive, profitable discussion we had together. And I would like you to go on discovering other Africans around you and bring them back to the fold of Ahmadiyyat properly, right?
Yes, sir.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
alislam.org. Holy Quran.
Selected verses of the Holy Quran. Introduction to Quran.
MTA Live 24/7.
Friday sermon. Ask Islam. Maqam al-Arab.
Languages.
Spanish, English, French.
Online bookstore.
Audio video tapes, CDs.
True Islam online. alislam.org. MTA International, reaching the corners of the earth.